Hi everyone and welcome back to Hot World. Today I'm out back here in my workshop and I'm going to work on this slot car track. I'm going to make one of the most important features of the entire track. I'm going to build a Lightbridge. Well, you're probably thinking, what is a Lightbridge? And that's a good question. A Lightbridge is a very important part of the scenery, but it is also, more importantly, part of the sensors that keep track of when a car passes the start-finish line. And the way this works is that this Lightbridge will have installed, or I will install, some LEDs down on the bottom of the bridge here. I have already 3D printed this and I made a bit of small adjustments on the model, so I have room for installing a couple of LED strips in here. When they are activated or turned on, they will cast light down on the track directly from the top of the bridge on this piece of the track. Down here I will paint a start-finish line exactly below this Lightbridge. And in the track I will install a couple of small LED sensors, optical sensors that will register light. So each time a slot car passes over the start-finish line, it will break the light coming from the Lightbridge and down to the sensor, and then the sensor in the track will register that a car has passed the start-finish line. And that is the reason why I need a Lightbridge, because I needed to cast some powerful light down on these sensors so they will work flawlessly each time a car passes. You can't have that the cars can pass and it will miscount a lap. That just doesn't work. If you want to race on a slot car track, it needs to register each lap and it needs to do it right. So the Lightbridge is very important in that regard. The Lightbridge is also a piece of scenery with a lot of details. So in this case I'm going for a Lightbridge that looks a bit like it has been built out of scrap metal, scrap pieces of things you could find, tires, metal beams and so on. Up here I'm going to place a sign that has the track name, and I'm going to make a couple of adjustments to this model. I'm going to make some small mini projectors out here with some 5mm LEDs casting light up on this sign to kind of give a bit more light on the track and illuminating this sign, and it's going to look incredible. Beside that I'm going to place some starting lights for the racetrack down here below this Lightbridge. So you could imagine that the drivers are holding down here, they're ready to drive, and then they can see the lights up here, which will be 5 or 10 red LEDs that will turn on, and then when they turn off you're good to go, just like in a normal Formula 1 race, for example. So I'm going to install that below the Lightbridge here. So a couple of adjustments. I 3D printed the entire bridge, and I haven't done any video about this. I just 3D printed this model. It's from Printable Scenery, and I'll post a link in the description. I made a couple of adjustments on it after or while I worked the 3D model, because I needed it to be lowered, or I needed to be able to place LED strips up here. It was flat on the bottom, but I simply made a hole in it down here so the LED strips could be placed here, and thereby not being seen when you view them from the side like I'm doing now. So now you'll only see the light coming down from the top and below, and of course there'll be a couple of lights up here illuminating the sign or racetrack name. So that's generally the plan, or that is generally the Lightbridge I'm working on. I am going to spray paint this now with a base primer, and then I'm probably going to spray paint it black and or in a metal color, and simply going to paint it after that. I haven't decided what colors to use yet, but I am going for this Borderlands feel, so we'll take a look at it when I get there. See, I found this primer. This is made for cars, and it's not only a primer, it also fills up small gaps. So it's actually quite nice to use this on 3D printed parts, as they have all of these layer lines. So I use this stuff, and it's used with partial success. it works really well if there are only small gaps and small layer lines. So it's an easy and fast way to spray prime 3D printed parts. So it's perfect for a project like this. Here you can see the primed Lightbridge. I still have a layer shift here, or assembly line, where I put the parts together. My huge 3D printer, the CR10 Max, was indisposed at the moment because it was working on another project. So I cut this up and printed it on a smaller printer and then just glued it together. And this won't be a problem because there'll be a banner over this part that will cover this up, and the top part here I can cover that with paint, so I'm not worried about that. But here it is, the Lightbridge, ready for the second primer. This is just an initial primer to filling up all of the gaps. I need some small projectors in hobby size, and I also need a start light for the racetrack. I design all of these parts in 3D SketchUp, which I usually use when I'm working with detailed models that need to be on exact measurements. As you can see, I'm designing all of the parts so there are small holes for the LED's legs, so it can be easily installed and all of the wires can be hidden. I really like working in this software, and I like creating hobby related items I can 3D print and integrate into all of my projects. Well, it's not that often I print on the very fine settings on my MP4 Pro machines, but I'm doing this now, and these parts are for the Lightbridge, and it's some very small and detailed mini projectors that will illuminate the banner hanging on top of the Lightbridge. And I'm actually very impressed of the detail of these prints. This is a very fine print. And I already did the starting light part and printed that, and as you can see here, this looks really great. The red color on the bottom is because I had a bit of red thread of PLA inside the bowden tube. So that kind of made the bottom part of this red, and then the rest is black, but it doesn't matter as I'm going to spray it. And this is the bottom part of the lights for the starting race, and here we have the other part, which is really amazing. This is the starting lights, the 5 LEDs that's going to light up and then turn off when the race is about to start. And just take a look at how precise this actually is. These 5mm LEDs just fit in perfectly. I 3D printed the holes here on the back for the legs of the LEDs, but I just had to use a small drill to make them a bit wider so they would fit, but everything else just fitted perfectly. So this is going to be placed on this. Of course I'm going to cut off all of the legs, and then all of the wires will be run out through the hole here in the back. So I'm going to spray paint this now, and then I'm going to install it. I have finished printing the parts for the mini projectors that's going to illuminate this banner up here with the racetrack name. And this is one of the parts, and I am quite impressed about how it turned out. The MP4 Pro has done a really great job on fine setting, and there was almost no nothing to remove afterwards. It just came out perfectly, so I can install it. There are two parts in these mini projectors. This part is the support beam that will be located or placed down here or on the side. I haven't decided that yet. That'll have to require a test to see how the lights hit the banner. And then there is this part, which is really, really tiny and really small, as you can see. This is the house for the LED, and it's made for a 3mm LED, not a common 5mm, but a small 3mm LED. And I have made these tiny, tiny holes in it. Don't know if you can see them. There are two tiny holes that fits the legs of one of these LEDs. So it will be mounted in the house like this. And after that, I can just bend the legs in a 45-degree angle. And it's going to be glued on top of the support beam like this. So it will look something like this. It's very tiny, so it's very delicate working with. And then it's going to be installed below the banner or on the side of the banner, so this LED can cast all of its light on top of this. While I wait for these small mini projectors to dry so I can test them out on the Lightbridge, I'm going to work a bit on the starting lights. This is a two-part component I also designed in SketchUp, and as you can see, it has it's going to be assembled like this and then placed below the Lightbridge right here. In here, in each of these 5 houses, there will be placed a 5mm LED. Exactly the same way as the 3mm LEDs for the mini projectors, like this, and then all these 5 LEDs will be placed up here. When a race is about to start and you hit the start button on the computer, these lights will turn on one at a time, and when they turn off, the race is on and you're allowed to drive. The system will be set up so if you drive before all 5 lights turn off, you've made a false start and your car will be penalized by simply being applied a time penalty or being stopped when it has made this false start for maybe 2 seconds or whatever we decide. So this is the starting lights, and the starting lights will also be featured or viewed on the computer screen that display the race, but I just think that it's a really nice feature having this physically placed on the track too. I think that it looks so great when you can see these lights turn on, and they does the same on the screen displaying the race at the same time. So that's more or less the idea behind it. This one will be placed behind the front cover with the light boxes. So all the wires will be assembled in here, and then it will be run out through the back, so I can get them down along one of these legs and down below the track, so I can supply it with power. But it's going to look something like this. So let's just get this assembled and then start soldering all this stuff. Well, I often make a lot of really large stuff on my channel, but I'm actually very satisfied with how this turned out. This is my own design. This is a starting light for a slot car track, and I just think this looks really elegant. It's a nice design. Of course, I still need to paint some black over to cover all of these red parts. That was a bit of a old PLA in my printer, but just take a look at this. This looks really good, and also wires is coming out here behind from the back, so they can be run through the Lightbridge and down along one of the legs into the track and down under the track, so I can connect them there. They are going to be connected to an Arduino, which will control the lights and control the lap counting of the cars. So this is the starting light for the slot car track. So now that I have attached these two, I'm just going to test them like I did with the starting lights and to see if they work. And it seems like they work. After doing a lot of testing with the lights for the banner, I decided to try something different, and I decided to mount them up here above the start lights, and I'm just going to run the wires through this beam here and into the interior of the light bridge so I can hide them. I actually think this is going to work much better, and it gives a more consistent light on the top banner itself. So this will be the way I'm going to do it. It also looks a lot better seen from when the light bridge is standing like this. So just gotta make a couple of holes and run the wires through. I finally managed to attach all of the wires for the LEDs that's illuminating the banner, and I have all of the starting lights ready. It is all connected in the light bridge, and all of the wires coming out here. They'll be following this beam down and through that wheel, and then they will leave the track and get down on the backside of the track so I can connect them there. Now I only need to finish the stuff that will actually make this to a light bridge, and that will be the lights that's coming from the top up here and down on the track, illuminating the track and thereby being able to activate all of the sensors. So I'm going to use simple LED strips like this, and on a previous racetrack I made, I only used one of these strips, and it seemed okay, but sometimes I had a fallout of one of the sensors, and that was caused by a bit too little light. So I'm going to use two of these strips, and this light bridge here is wide enough to attach two of these. So I'm going to get these ones installed up here, and then I'm going to connect them, and then we can see if the light bridge works and how it looks when it's complete. Just added the final layer of the rust effect to these beams, and I had to make a couple of changes while I worked on this. This has been kind of a trial and error project. I decided to hide the wires that's going to run into the racetrack here, running them through the wheel and then down into the track. And to do that I needed to fill up this beam with all of the wires, and I've just covered it in a filler, sanded it down, and then applied this rust effect. And to make it look a bit better, I'm going to use some common pigments for making a bit of dry rust on some of the parts. I think that will really enhance the overall look of this light bridge. So I'm just going to add all of these pigments now, and when that's complete and when that's done, I'm going to show you how the light bridge turned out with everything turned on, the lights from the bottom down here and the signals and so on. That's it, I finished the light bridge for the slot car track, and it turned out great. If we just take a look at it here, we can see how it has been painted. This is a very rusty light bridge. It's made out of scrap metal, and it just looks incredible. I just love how I got this dry rust on certain areas of the gantry here, and I just love how it turned out. This is just like I wanted it to. So very happy about that. The start lights for the race here, I've turned them all on now so you could see them all. They are designed so that when a race is about to start, they will turn on one at a time until all 5 are turned on, and then when they shut down or turn off, the race is on and the car is allowed to drive. So this looks really great, and I just love the 3D printed part I managed to make here. I really like how that turned out. This just works so great, and all of the wires are hidden inside it so you can't see them. The same with these up here. These small, this is mini projectors, and I'm going to turn them on in a minute and show you how they illuminate the banner here. This messes a bit with the camera because it can't catch all of that light that's coming from this. This is a Lightbridge, so there will be a lot of light. There's also light coming from the bottom being cast down on this area. That will be the track. So there's a lot of light when I turn this on. HK Apocalypse, that's the name of the track I made, and if we just take a quick view here, we see all of the wires are coming down this way, and they have been hidden. They are completely hidden on the Lightbridge, which makes it look really good. And then I managed to hide them below some filler, and then just paint this up so it looks like rusty metal. So I am very happy about how that turned out. I actually managed to hide all of the wires. So let's just power on this Lightbridge and see how it actually works when all of the light is on. As you can see, that's quite of a change, and we have these 3 spotlights up here. When you see it for real, they are not as sharp as they are on the camera. It just messes a bit with the camera sensors, all of this extreme amount of light here. So they illuminate the banner, and then the 2 LED strips will illuminate the track that will be placed down here. And the reason for this is, as I've said before, there'll be placed a couple of light sensitive sensors registering each time a car passes them. So when the car drives here, it will move over the sensor, and due to the light being cast from this Lightbridge, it will cast a shadow, or it will disrupt the light reaching the sensor, and the computer will see that a car has passed the start-finish line and register a lap. So that's how it's going to work. I am very pleased about how this project turned out. This is probably one of the coolest Lightbridges I have ever made. That's actually just the second one, but it still counts. So I'm very happy about the result here. And I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all enjoy following my slot car project. I certainly know that I enjoy making it. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, so you don't miss any of the new videos I'm going to upload. There'll be a lot more stuff with this slot car coming up, and we'll finish it all with a championship race. So thank you all for watching, and have a nice day, everyone.